If you need an excuse to break out of your inhibitions and party with permission, then Purim might be your favorite Jewish holiday. There's less fasting and more celebrating. But before we get to all that, we need to review the 4 mitzvahs of Purim. A mitzvah, you may know, is a command or religious duty, often a good deed. No pressure, just something you'll want to do. The first mitzvah of Purim is the public reading of the Megillah, or the Book of Esther, which, spoiler alert, concludes with the first celebration of Purim.
Awesome!
At the reading, don't be surprised by cheering or booing at any mention of the heroes and villain. The story focuses on a Jewish girl, Esther, her adopted guardian Mordecai, and the villain, Haman. The place is the Persian Empire, 400 years BCE. King Xerxes is throwing a 6-month party to honor himself. He commands Queen Vashti to be a good trophy wife and display her beauty for his guests. She refuses, so King Xerxes, who often makes rash decisions in a drunken state, banishes her.
Bye!
The king then arranges a beauty pageant to find a new queen. He chooses Esther. Not long after, Mordecai overhears a plot to kill the king and warns Esther, and the would-be assassins are brought to justice. Meanwhile, Haman, who is an anti-Semite, is named chancellor or second in command, and the king mandates all must bow to Haman. Mordecai refuses to bow, which angers Haman, who convinces the king that all Jews must die. To choose the date for that annihilation, they cast the Purim, and the decree is, well, decreed. As the date approaches, Mordecai and Esther put their heads together to stop the genocide. Mordecai famously suggests to Esther that perhaps she has become queen for such a time as this. Esther responds with the equally bold words, "If I die, I die." Like a royal soap opera, the twists and turns of the story cause surprise in and around the Persian palace. Rash decisions made by a drunk King Xerxes are used for good. Esther fasts and prays for 3 days, then risks her royal position to save the Jews. Against all expectations, the king concedes.
Awesome.
Haman thinks he is going to be honored, but instead, Haman is forced to honor Mordecai. Haman erects a gallows for Mordecai, but instead, Haman is the one who is hanged. Mordecai becomes chancellor and issues a new decree granting the Jews the right to defend themselves against their enemies. And they do, destroying all those who had plotted against them. Maybe the biggest plot twist of all, the day the Jews were to be destroyed, a date chosen by casting the Pur, becomes Purim, a celebration of God's faithfulness as the Jews are delivered from destruction. Which has happened before, of course. Throughout the Hebrew Bible, like parting the Red Sea or stopping the sun in the sky, God shows up to save Israel. But as you complete the first mitzvah of Purim, reading the book of Esther, you may notice that God is not mentioned at all in the entire book. Where is he? God is working behind the scenes, using flawed, real people, which reminds us that even when we don't see him, God's plan is unfolding in his perfect timing. His deliverance is the promise we celebrate at Purim. The second mitzvah is much different, sending food to friends. Typically, that means preparing a basket of 2 ready-to-eat meals for one friend, which demonstrates the ongoing unity of Jewish believers as found in the story of Esther. The third mitzvah is giving to charity with another plot twist. While giving in secret is often recommended, gifts to the poor at Purim should be presented in the light of day, in public, whether that's locally or around the world, so that the receiver can join in the celebration of God's faithfulness. And the fourth mitzvah is, as promised, a celebration. Food, songs, wine, dancing, carnivals, and costumes. Dressing in costumes symbolizes how the miracles that led up to Purim were disguised in natural events. Dressing up is also a reason that some people call Purim the Jewish Halloween, although it really isn't. There is fasting before Purim, commemorating Queen Esther's fasting and prayer. But after that, the feasting begins with plenty of meat, fruit, bread, and candy. A traditional treat is mishloach hamintashen, triangular fruit-filled cookies representing Haman's 3-cornered hat. So now that you know the story of Purim, here's your challenge. Don't be tempted to skip to the last mitzvah. Read or listen to the book of Esther. Share baskets of food. Give generously. Then celebrate joyously how God works in and through the lives of real people, including you.